Life has gotten expensive in 2024, so you might be looking for a few side hustles to make an extra $800 a week. In this video, I go over exactly how you can make an extra $800 a week in addition to your normal income. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and we'll go ahead and jump into the video right now. Number one on the list is flipping clothes. You can make an absolute killing with this right now. Your startup costs are minimal because it's really just the cost to acquire the clothes plus your time. You then sell those clothes for more than you bought them for, and boom, there's your profit, obviously. If you want to make $800 a week with this strategy, it will require a little bit of more calculated efforts. My friend Niko, for example, has taken this to a complete new level and has run with it. He opened up a storefront here in Concord named Capital Vintage, and he's made $50,000 since opening the store in February of 2024. He goes to flea markets and yard sales, and he gets old clothes from the 60s, 70s, 80s, all the way up to the 2000s. And then he looks at the resale value, and then he sells them for less than the average comps that the clothes are going for on the market. This is such a good idea because it gets the buyer that's buying these clothes a great deal because they're getting them for less than the comps, and it also allows him to profit because he got the clothes for pennies on the dollar from the flea market. Now, obviously, the buyer could do the same thing and go get the clothes for pennies on the dollar, but Niko's able to go ahead and source all these different clothes that he knows people will like, puts them all in one location, which is Concord Capital Vintage, and he's able to go ahead and sell them to the buyer for a slight premium for his time and the actual cost to acquire the clothes in the first place. If you want to check out his website, I'll go ahead and leave it in the description. This is a big thing going on right now, flipping vintage clothes. So go ahead and check out the link in the description and you'll be able to see his website. Or if you're local to the Concord area, go ahead and stop in. Now, to make $800 a week, it will require some added effort of going to the flea market, doing some quick research on what is resellable and how much you can actually resell it for. Then you can simply create a website or resell on Facebook for a below comp value. Above and beyond your normal website and Facebook Marketplace, you could also sell it on websites like Poshmark. These ones are a little bit harder because it's not as niche focused versus if you have a website. People that are looking for vintage clothes have one place to go to, and that's your website. Now, Niko was kind enough to share his numbers with me, are a little different now as he has a storefront, but he has grossed exactly $52,000 since opening his store in February of 2024. So that's about 3 months that he's grossed $52,000. His monthly expenses are about $3,325 a month. And that includes rent, electricity, insurance, internet, new inventory, laundry, because he washes all the clothes that he brings in, and then also wages for an employee to actually man the store. This leaves a net profit of about $14,000 a month or $3,200 a week net. So say, for example, he makes $50 profit per clothing item. To make $800, you would simply need to flip 16 articles of clothing a week. I bring up Niko's numbers because he does this in addition to his full-time job. It's fully a side hustle and is living proof that you can make great money with this side hustle. Okay, so if you don't like flipping clothes, but you like dogs, then this next side hustle, dog sitting, might be the better side hustle for you. Dog sitting has minimal startup cost and is very easy to do. This one might be important to vet the dogs that you plan to dog sit just to make sure that they're not vicious. But with dog sitting, you can charge by the dog. So this can increase your profit per day. This might be a happy medium that might require some playing with to make sure that you don't have too many dogs, that it doesn't turn into mayhem, but just enough to maximize profits. On average, dog sitting costs about $13 an hour. So if you keep the dogs on average for 3 hours a day, this would be $39 per dog. If you have 4 dogs at a given time, then this would be $156 a day, giving you about $800 per week for a 5-day week. With dog sitting, there is also opportunities for add-ons and upcharges. You could maybe charge a fee to pick up the dog and drop them off after you've dog sat. Sitting during a holiday, bringing the dog for a walk during the day. I even saw flyers recently in Concord for dog sitting that outlined an additional upcharge or fee for picking up the dog's poop. That one might just come with the territory and not warrant an upcharge, but if you have a willing customer that sees the value in you doing that, then so be it. Or maybe you do all this anyway and just charge more for your services. Dog sitting has a lot of areas for profit creating. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention some of the potential cons. Dog sitting has a few variables that you would want to properly manage before taking in dogs for an extended period of time. Making sure the dogs are up to date on their shots and vaccines can be crucial in case there is an accident or a fight that breaks out. Doing an introductory session with the dog before taking them on as a pup client might be smart to see how they interact with the other dogs. This can also help gauge the level of effort required to look after that dog. Are they a lazy pup that just sleeps all day, or a hyperactive pup that needs running and walking pretty consistently throughout the day? Insurance. Self-employment insurance generally is not super expensive and can be a smart idea when dealing with other people's property. God forbid something happens, you're covered. These couple added precautions can help you do right by the dog and by you as a business owner. The next one is photography. This one has a pretty decent learning curve, but if you can produce better than average pictures without costing as much as a professional, then this is a market that you can also make a killing in. This does require some upfront investment, as you do need a camera and you also need some editing software. However, once you have these and you properly market yourself, you have the opportunity to make a lot more than the other 2 side hustles in a lot less time. For example, it costs around $365 for a 1-hour shoot with a professional. That might be an entry point of about $200 for you as a above average photographer. You should build out a portfolio of what you've done in the past, or maybe you have some family members that you take some pictures of. And then you can show the potential client these pictures that you've done, so that way they can make a well-informed decision if these pictures are something that they're interested in, or if your work is something that they would like themselves. This one's also great because as you get better, you might be able to charge more for your time. But with this, you can still do 4 shoots a week and make that $800 that I referenced. My sister is currently doing this. She charges $200 for an hour shoot and does really, really great work for a fraction of the cost of a professional photographer. Additionally, photography has a few opportunities for upcharges as well. Maybe you offer framed photos or photos that come in different sizes, videography for special events, and even some albums, just to name a few. Once you get good, you might be able to bump up your demographic and do small events for a larger fee, making that $800 even faster. I hired a photographer recently for when I proposed to my fiance, and it was almost $900, which was awesome because of the fact that they captured such a special moment in both of our lives. But this just goes to show that you can charge a good amount of money for this if you do different events and you get pretty good at it. Once again, obviously to get to this point, it is going to take some time and dedication to improve on your skills in each session. But this is something that could be a great side hustle that you only have to take on the work when you want, and you can make some really great money once again from this. Choosing the right camera, lens, poses, software, that's going to take some research. But I personally have a Canon M50 with a Sigma Art f1.8 lens. I'm not a photographer by any means, but personally have found this to be a great setup that meets my needs. Where you start and how much you're willing to risk on the startup is going to be entirely up to you. But these are just some ideas and what I use personally if you wanted a good starting point. I'll also leave the link in my description for the camera and lens if you're interested. On the photography note, I'd be crazy to not mention it because the possibilities are truly endless. Some of you might know that you can make money off of YouTube and others might not. But with YouTube, you get ad revenue based on how many views you get and what style of videos you post. So for a finance channel, you might see on average $30 cost per 1,000 views. YouTube then takes 45% of that cut. So if you received 100,000 views on a video, then you would receive a gross amount of $3,000, which would be a $1,650 net to you. Where this gets crazy is this is across the board. So if a video from 3 years ago gets 10,000 views, that's an extra $300 gross that's fully passive after that initial effort of creating the video. Additionally, if you post 8 videos a month, on average, each one gets 100,000 views per video. That $1,650 net turns into $13,200 a month from posting YouTube videos. Now, obviously there are intricacies to this. There's psychology, there's marketing, that all comes along with it, but that's crazy. With YouTube, you need people to first click on your videos, then you need to keep their attention for as long as possible. That's a challenging feat in itself and can be very discouraging, which I've witnessed myself. But this is currently what I'm working on, and I anticipate being well worth it in the future. I currently have a goal to post 100 videos, improving something each time, then we'll reevaluate and go from there once I post that 100 videos. We shall see, and I'll be getting back to you with how this side hustle ultimately works out after those 100 videos. But this one can be a little more challenging as the upfront investment is pretty significant. More than likely, it will require hundreds of hours of time before seeing any sort of return. Like I mentioned, I can't speak from personal experience on this one yet, but if you were to partake in this, in order to make $800 a week, it would require you to have one video get about 50,000 views at $30 CPM would be about $1,500. Then 55% of that would be $825. I saved this one for last because it takes the most amount of time and has the biggest upfront investment before seeing any sort of return. But I am led to believe with consistency and constant improvement and providing value to you, this might make some money someday, hopefully soon. Drop a comment below of what are some profitable side hustles that you might be doing now to make some extra money above and beyond your normal job. Thank you so much for watching. If you got some value out of this video, then consider subscribing and go ahead and check out one of my other videos over here.